What is poppin', everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Road Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay, who else but me, and today my guest, Razakel, is in the house, man. I'm so excited to be talking to this girl. Look, it is so hard to maintain in the game, whether it be underground, any form of music, doesn't matter if it's underground, rap, whatever. In order to maintain, it takes a ton of work and dedication, and she has done that. We obviously get into all that jazz in the interview. I'm not going to spill too much of what I think of her talents and her dedication, like I said, right now, because we get into that. But I do just want to say, man, I want people to understand just how much work. It's not as easy as just putting out a record, okay? Putting out music doesn't mean you're in the game. Putting in work means you're in the game. And Razakel has done that for years upon years upon years. And I got so much respect for anybody who can do that, especially a female in underground and any form of entertainment when it comes to music that is dominated by males. It's so hard to do, and she has done that successfully. And so grateful and so honored that she was able to take time out of her schedule to talk to me. Yeah, so really excited to have this as the first episode to drop in the spooky season. I think it's appropriate that she would be the one to help me kick that off. A lot of guests coming up this month that I'm really excited about. So to have this one be the one that kicks everything off, it's so awesome. Real excited for this, if you can't tell. So excited. So excited. You guys have no idea. I can't keep babbling about this because I'll end up spoiling it all. I'm not going to do that. But just know, man, there's some serious flavor coming your way in the month of October 2025. Anyway, enough of my babbling. Let's go ahead and get to my sponsor and then my interview with the great Razakel. Let's do it, y'all. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay, and I'm here for W Energy, my sponsors. Now, what is W Energy, you might ask? W Energy is clean, jitterless energy. Better than the canned stuff that you would get at your convenience stores, your gas stations, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have all that trash in it. Now, how do I know? Because I myself use W Energy. So what I've got here, a couple of limited edition flavors. For instance, W Energy puts out this stuff called Grandpa's Ginger Water. I know it don't sound that great, but it is amazing. Limited run that they came out that I've got actually multiple tubs of. I believe in W Energy. I use W Energy myself. Also, this was just released and it's another limited edition flavor that they come out with, and it's called Pom Blom. It's pomegranate blossom. Real nice, clean flavor. And a lot of W Energy, whether it be classics like Calio Cream or the Dub Sludge, whatever it might be, it is clean energy. It's not going to make you feel all crappy at the end of the day after using it. Now, here's what I want you to do, because again, they're obviously a sponsor of mine, but what I want you to do is I want you to go to www.w.gg, order one of the sampler packs, which you get one of these cool tumblers, a part of the sampler pack, and I want you to grab one, but don't use my promo code. That's right. Don't use my promo code, who else, at checkout, because I want you to try it without thinking I'm just trying to sell you a bill of goods. Try it one time, and then when you go back to buy your second order of W Energy, then use my promo code, who else, at checkout for a 10% discount, because all you're going to do is try it. I know you're going to love it. That's how much I believe in this product, and I thank them for sponsoring the show today. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Road Show. As always, I'm your host, Jay, who else but me, and today my guest is somebody who I've got a lot of respect for. Normally, I kind of write down these intros and shit like this, but I don't need to with her because she has been in this game for so fucking long. I have so much respect for people when it comes to underground music who can sustain on their own, who could do their own thing for as long as this individual has. She has done nothing but drop album after album after album, 20 as a matter of fact. And man, to do that, you don't understand unless you've been in this game how fucking hard that is to do with all the blood, sweat, and tears coming out of your own body, not relying on a major record label, not relying on anyone else but your own grind. And she has done it. Enough of the long intro. It is Razakel, my friend. How are we doing today?
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm doing fucking great. How are you?
Not bad. Like I said before I hit record, it's this is a weird time of year for me because it's kind of like the after summer beginning of fall, like getting everything together for the home, getting it
Yeah,
winterized. Because I live in Ohio. I don't know what it's like out there for y'all, but out here you have
yeah.
to do shit like that to get ready for the cold season.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kicking my ass, but hey, it's all good. It's all gravy. I got coffee and I'm ready to rock. You know what I'm saying? But
Bet.
does it get cold out there?
Um, when it does, it's like it's gonna start chilling out probably like the end of, well, like the beginning of October, but it really doesn't get like cold, probably like January, February. And it's for
Ah,
but it's like at the end of this month, it'll probably start cooling down to like a nice like 70 degrees. If that's considered cool out there. I know it snows out there. We barely get snow. So like our cold
yeah.
is very different from your cold.
Yeah, and they're projecting a really bad winter for us this year. And it's I hate the cold. If it wasn't for snakes and alligators, I'd live in Florida. Like
Right.
I cannot fucking stand the cold. So that yeah, when you said it drops down to 70, I'm like, fuck, that's my paradise. But
I
anyway,
know,
okay.
I know.
Nobody tuned in to hear us talk about the
Right, the weather here. This is how we're starting, guys.
weather. Yeah, right. But anyway, okay. So like I was saying in the intro, I have heard your name in the underground for as long as I can remember. And I vaguely even remember some of the MySpace days, mainly because there's some people from the same city that I'm from. They're called
Mhm.
Mass Murder Media. I think they've booked you out in
Mhm.
Dayton a couple of times.
Yeah.
Uh, I've I've known them for God, I don't know how long. And yeah, so they were. I think they were the first ones to kind of put me on to you way back then, and ever since then, like I've always heard the name Razakel, Razakel. But what I'm interested in is because since you got started back then, a lot of the people that got started back then, it's hard to kind of like get the up and coming story of like, what got them into the underground. So that's kind of where I want to start with you. How did you get into underground music? And it was just something that was accessible. Because for me, being along I-75, like the wicked shit has been prominent all through, Michigan, all the way down to the bottom of Ohio since the start of it. How did it get to you? How did you get into it?
Well, first of all, I want to say like it probably started with like visually with like horror movies and just the horror genre, you know. So
Mm,
then I found out that there was this music genre called horrorcore, and I was like, what the fuck? Like that's cool. Like it's like what I watch to music and to a beat. So I
yeah.
started digging into the genre, and there used to be an old group with Comatose and Ruckus called Cryptic, and then I really got into them, and then I got into like KGP, Bloodshot, Stitch Mouth. These are like old. This is like way back in the day shit, and yeah, like I fell in love with it. I think it was because it was so like niche, you know what I mean? Like nobody
Yeah.
really knew. I mean, this was like probably like 2005, 2006. So like
Yeah.
it wasn't, to me, like besides like like ICP and Twisted and shit, like horrorcore was like holy shit. Like you also like you knew those big names, but this underground of that was like something that really was appealing to me. And then of
Yeah.
course like I saw and heard that there were like some other female rappers in the game at the time, and at that time I was like, man, like respect to them, but like I felt like I could have brought something different. I felt I could have been a little bit more not so cutesy and a little bit more aggressive and kind of come in hard with it like a dude, like a dude rapping and shit. So that's how like I guess like the shit that I didn't like inspired me to be in it, because I was like, I think I could do that better in my own way.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Were you always a fan of hip hop as well?
Yeah, like hip hop, but it's like old school shit, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, like Snoop Dogg. Like this is like shit I used to listen to like in the 90s. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
But I can't really say that it was like I don't know everything about hip hop. I'm not like a hip hop lyrical miracle head. You know what I mean? It was never like my biggest like inspiration per se. Like I actually liked a lot of like pop music and like more singy songy stuff. And like but I've always respected hip hop, but like I could never lie and be like, oh yeah, like Wu-Tang was my shit. And, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like I've never lied about it at all. Like I respect it for what it is, but I can't sit here and read you the encyclopedia of hip hop. I just kind of like what I like, and then when I found the horrorcore genre, I noticed that it was predominantly rap. So then
Hmm.
that kind of felt like easier in my lap because I had always been writing poetry and then I was in like choir and all of that shit. So it just kind of all worked itself out.
Yeah. And that's you say that you were into pop music and stuff, and you could definitely tell that in your music because you blend that. And you more than most female rappers, I would say, definitely do a lot more with your vocal range, I guess, and it comes to
Thank
actual
you.
between rapping and singing. So I could definitely see that, and I completely understand where you're coming from because, like, and obviously we didn't plan this, but like I got ICP right here, and I got
Mhm.
Linkin Park right here. Those were
Yeah.
my two biggest influences,
Hell
and
yes.
ICP was the very first rap I'd ever heard. Like my
Wow.
very first rap song I ever heard was Super Balls. No bullshit. That was the very first rap song I ever heard.
That's quite the intro.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I saw them on WWF television because I'm a huge wrestling fan, and that's where my first exposure to them was. And as somebody brought over an ICP record, and it was Tunnel of Love, obviously, and I put it on, and I was like, oh, this is unlike anything I've ever heard. And then Linkin Park mixing those genres for me, like
Yeah.
that it was over for me at that point. Like I was
Right.
all about it from then. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Whereas it's like, yes, you can be into rap without knowing the rap encyclopedia. And I can't fucking stand people who are like always shit. And it's the same. Like it's
Yeah.
not just rap. Metalheads do that shit all the time
Oh,
too.
definitely. It's in every genre.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm again back here. I'm a Ghost fan. I love Ghost. I don't care what anybody says about it.
Yeah.
I like it. And you always get those metalheads who are like, Ghost isn't real metal. Okay, fine, whatever. Who gives a fuck? I don't
It's
really give
just
a
your
fuck. I like
opinion,
what I like.
man.
Right? Yeah, I like what I like. If you don't like it, that's fine. But anyway, enough of my rant. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the early stages for you because you kind of alluded to it. There wasn't a whole lot of female rappers in the underground game back then when you got started. How did you decide, like, you know what, I want to do this? And what steps did you take to start making that a reality for you?
Okay, so I guess like well, I had a friend. I used to live in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and he just started dabbling like producing and making beats and shit. So then he was like, he's like, you should try something. Like, like you're familiar with music and you write, like you should just try to like that poem you're writing, like put it to this beat, like try it out. And I did it, and he was like, "Yo," he was like, "That's pretty fucking good." He was like, "You should like finish the whole fucking song." So I did the whole song, and then it was just like a funsy thing, you know what I mean? Like we started making more songs
Mhm.
together. He started rapping. We were just like, in his fucking basement, just hanging out, fucking having fun making music. And then I would release the music on like I think it was like SoundClick at the time or some shit. And like
Yeah.
and I was releasing
Yeah.
music at that time, and then that's when like I was releasing it, but I wasn't really showing it off. You know what I mean? Because I was still like weirded out about it. It wasn't my idea to be like, oh, I want to be a rapper and I want everybody to like know about me and shit. So like I kind of kept it to myself, but the people that I did show, they were like, yo, like this is good. And people started sharing it and shit. And then that's when more artists started like coming to me like, yo, we should do a song together. We should collab. Like there's this rapper from back in the day. His name's Creepy X. and he found me and he was like, yo, I kind of want to bring you onto my team. And that's when, like, I just used to record on a little like computer mic, bro, like the little skinny
Mm-hmm.
stick ones, you know, like it was nothing fancy at all, no interface, no nothing. So then when I started sending him my vocals and then he started mixing and mastering, and I heard like how elevated it was just from a microphone, just from a computer microphone, I was like, this could this could be something, you know what I mean? So that's when I felt like I started taking it seriously. That's when I was like, okay, I got to get a better microphone. I got to learn, I got to learn like Pro Tools or, a kind of DAW. I need to do all that. And then I don't know, I felt like, I think it was like 2005, like the end of 2005, where I was like, yeah, like it's like album time. I think it's time to solidify concepts, something, put something together. And then when that happened, I had gotten picked up by like an older label from back in the day. And then that's when things were like, that's where it became like kind of a big deal because, chick rappers, bitch rappers weren't really a thing then. So like
Right.
when I came out, like it was kind of a double-edged sword. Like people either really loved it or they really fucking hated it because I was a woman. You know what I mean? So it's like I got a lot of attention because I was a girl, but then I got a lot of attention because I was a girl and they were like, you're not as good as the guys type shit.
Sure. You unlocked two core memories for me there in that sentence. One being SoundClick. I don't think people remember. SoundClick was at one point like if you didn't have a producer, that's where you went to get beats.
Yeah.
SoundClick was everyone was on
Yep.
SoundClick, which means everyone was using the same
Oh, for
beats.
sure. For sure. I know that for sure.
I, there would be like a couple different artists in my area, and you would get on MySpace again. You would get because again, MySpace was for musicians before it was an actual social platform.
Yeah.
So you would get on like the top artists from your area and listen to like the top 10. At
Yeah.
least two of them was the same beat because
Right.
everybody was on SoundClick. You know.
Yeah, SoundClick and Reverb Nation. That was another one too.
Yes. Yeah, Reverb Nation was another one. And then I did the exact same thing as you when I started because in high school I was obsessed with music and all I wanted to do was record. And I had the same skinny ass microphone, the same computer one that plugged into the headphone jack in the back
Yup.
of your. And I took two boombox speakers. I wish I had the picture loaded up because I know I have it on my Facebook, but I had two boombox speakers pointed towards the microphone. The microphone was pointed toward me, and I just put two kitchen towels in between like the wall of the microphone
Yeah.
to try to keep it from popping or whatever.
Hell
So
yes.
yeah, we all did that, I think,
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
we all
So
came from somewhere, man. Like I thought I was cool. Like I had a closet and I put my little microphone in the closet upside down to make me feel
yeah,
like even more of a cool rapper. Cause that's what I seen, like, on TV with my little fucking stupid mic up there. But I mean, we
yeah,
all come from somewhere like that, as cheap and as old school it was, at least it
right.
sets a foundation.
And I think that, and obviously this isn't something I had wrote down, but I think that that's something that gets lost in today's world because it's so easy. Like this microphone right here cost me $90 and I could do whatever I wanted,
Yeah.
with it. Today it's easier than ever to get started. Whereas when we were coming up,
Hmm.
you had to fucking obviously do science experiments,
Yeah.
to make a record. But I think that showed, and I'm not insulting anybody here who wants to do music, so I hope nobody listening actually takes it that way. But I think that's what separated those from who wanted to do it and those who just do it because they think it's cool to do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you had
Yeah.
to work for that shit.
For sure. I agree. I agree for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, so something else I wanted to ask you, and since you kind of brought it up, obviously you had to do the whole style and you had to figure out, the persona of what, you wanted to present. Recently, and I could be off base, and if I am, then I'll just take this part out. But recently I saw you posted on your Facebook that I think it was your mother was singing in a church. She's a part of the church. Were your
Mhm.
parents religious? And if so, at that point in time, what did they think about the path that you were taking there? Because I know some people who have religious parents, when they get into this scene, they're just kind of like, what are you doing? Did they kind of
Yeah.
have that attitude or? Yeah.
Well, both of my parents are ordained Presbyterian pastors. So I'm a pastor.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Okay.
a PK all the way. Like
Okay.
I was born into the church. Like some of my first memories is, you know, choir and Sunday school and vacation Bible school. Like I was always super, super involved in all of that. So when I started doing music, like I think, well, when I started doing like horrorcore music and shit, I think I was probably like maybe like 22, 23, I'm not sure. And at that time, like I had moved away from home, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Me and my parents were like separated, like estranged for a while. So like I wasn't really talking to my family for like a good like
Mm.
4 or 5 years of my life because, you know, like as I got older, like it was always church. I had to be at church every Sunday. I had to, like, they
Yeah.
always had me doing everything. It was very, very strict, you know. And then my parents being like Latino too, like my dad was like on
Yeah.
my ass, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
when I started, I guess, waking up and learning shit on my own and then rebelling, I guess you could say, when I hit like 18 or 19 and I moved, that's when I was like, oh, I don't need to talk to my parents. I don't need a relationship. They don't understand me, blah, blah, blah. So, like, when I started doing music, they weren't really a part of it because we weren't part of each other's lives in general, you know? So, it was up until like probably like 2000, like 10 or 11 when we started like rekindling our relationship again. And that's when they like kind of found out about it, but they didn't, I
Mm.
think like they didn't really take it seriously enough to like care, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when I started getting bigger and more popular, that's when they were like, holy shit, like we just thought this was like a fun like little party for you. We didn't know that this was like a thing. And I really don't know like what my dad thought about it. My mom kind of like did the speaking for him, you know? And my mom was like, well, you know, I don't really care about like the content, but you sound so pretty when you sing. So I was like, I'll take it. Like, I was like, maybe it's a better, just don't listen to what I'm saying. Just vibe with the harmonies. So
Right. Right.
now, like now my mom, my dad passed away and now she remarried. And like now my mom is like, I don't want to say she's like a fan, but like, you know, she'll come over here and she wants to see all the new merchandise. She wants to take pictures with my CDs and you know what I mean? Like it's really it's like a full circle moment, you know, where she's like kind of like accepted me and accepted what I do. And, you know, for the longest time, like when I was going on tour and shit, like my family always thought like, you're just going out and partying. Like you're just going out, hanging out with people, you know, and I'm like, well, yeah, but that's not all of it. Like touring that's a whole other monster. So I think when they started being a little bit more opening and accepting and like kind of looking at this as a job, because I mean it is, you know, then
Yeah.
that's when they started to like learn to respect it. And they're like, wow, like this is it's not your 9 to 5, it's your life, you know? So luckily, like it's all come around full circle and it's accepted and my family's they're you know, they're cool about it. So I'm lucky for that for sure.
Yeah. I'm always intrigued to hear that side from other people because my mom has always been super religious. And I remember, I think it was my 13th birthday. One of my aunts took me to this local CD store called CD Connection, and I got Riddlebox and Carnival of Carnage. And my mom actually drove me back to that place and made them exchange the albums for something else because they had parental advisory stickers on them. Like that's how strict
Yep.
it was. And
Yep.
then along comes Napster, and that destroyed all hope of ever controlling what I listened to after that point because she couldn't stop Napster, you know.
Same. It was
But
LimeWire for me, so I totally get it. I totally get
yeah,
it.
right. Yeah, once MP3s came around, there was no stopping us. But I'm
Yep.
always interested to hear stuff like that. And the same thing, like what you said when it comes to touring, people have this misconception that touring is partying. If you're touring correctly, there's a good chance you're miserable for the 30 days you're on the road, except for
Definitely.
the 20 to 30 minutes you're on stage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
and I've been on both sides of the boat. I've been as an artist for Menace to Sobriety, did a
Mhm.
whole tour with Twisted and Blaze and ROC, and then that coming up May, I worked for M&E and I got paid as an employee. Both equally fucking sucked. Like there is no
Yeah.
time.
No, for
You're
sure.
working. You're
Yeah, but
working when you're on the road.
when it's over though, you know, when it's over and you look back at it, you're like, Damn, that was sick. I did that.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure. It's oh yeah, for sure. I did find that I wasn't like I'm such an introvert. Touring's not for me, probably
Right.
for the most part. Like it would have to be something really big in order to get me back on the road. But
Mhm.
even still, like I talk about all those times so fondly. And a lot of it is like hanging out in Denver because we had an off day and everybody's like, "Hey, we're meeting up on the bus to smoke." And uh Jamie and I think Matt Nips had soaked this blunt for 2 weeks. It was called a tie stick. And it's the first time I ever smoked one of them. And we're in there for 20 minutes. The shit ain't even 20% done. And I'm like, I gotta go to bed. I can't hang with y'all. But like just knowing like I bitched out in front of Twisted is just a cool memory or you know, it's definitely worth it, even though it's not for me. But what are some of your earliest memories since we're talking on the subject? What are some of your earliest memories being on tour? Like, did you find out because you've been on a shit ton of tours. Did you find out early like this isn't what I thought? Or was it hard for you to adjust? Because there is that adjustment period. When you went on your first couple of tours, and how did you start going on your first couple of tours? How did that whole process go for you?
Well, okay, so going back to my parents and like the whole church thing, they were always kind of like on tour in a sense, you know what I mean? Because
Okay,
other
yeah,
churches would invite them to be like guest pastors or guest speakers and shit. So I had
right,
already been used to like traveling, you know what I mean, for like a job kind of, and kind of putting on the face and like being around people and shit. So
yeah,
fast forward to when I started doing music. When I started touring, my first tour was with Dark Half, you know, rest in peace, Gino.
okay,
My first tour was with Dark Half. That was the Children of the Grave tour. And that was like a like I kind of had an idea of how it was going to go because I was like, oh, I've traveled, you know, whatever. But it was totally different when it finally happened because it's like I didn't really take into account that like these fucking men would be my roommates for a month. You know what I mean? Like literally like in
yes,
the van at the hotel every morning for breakfast, you know, like it's different being with somebody like fucking 24/7, you know?
yeah,
And then like you know how it is like sometimes you butt heads, some days are really good days, some days are bad days, sometimes you get sick. And back at that time like especially in the horrorcore genre, like not a lot of people were touring. Like people were doing like little like one-off shows and shit, you know, like for weekends
hmm
and shit. But like when me and Dark Half went on tour, like we went hard in the paint. We were doing like 18 to like 26 dates. You know, we did 3 legs of that tour. And every time like the dates were just building up more and more and more. So I guess like the more I started doing it, the more I started getting used to it. But man, like it's really tough. Like those suicide drives, we call them suicide drives when it's like you have to leave the night of the show to go to the next venue, maybe
yeah,
check in, got to get ready in the car. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it can, and it, you know, and then I'm the only girl, so it's easy for a dude to just like take a little bird bath and you know what I mean, put some cologne and they're done. Like I got shit I gotta do. You know, so it was definitely like trying and it tested me. But I think like with anything, like the challenge and kind of being put under that pressure it's important. And that's kind of what like I guess like made me build that thick skin per se, you know. So after that, that's when I started doing like my own like solo tours. People started picking me up. And that's when I was like, holy shit, like this is actually like this could be a thing. And then you know like being at home and making music, like of course like that's always great, but it it's like more fulfilling when you like make a project and then you could take that project on the road and actually show people like this is what it's like live. Because it's one thing to listen to it, but it's one thing to like see, you know what I mean, see and to like meet people and look them in the eye, hug them. Like it's important to like, you know what I mean, to humanize it a
yeah,
little bit,
yep.
you know? So I love it, man. Like, unfortunately, when COVID happened, that's when I stopped touring. So this next tour that's coming up is my first tour since COVID. So even though I've done so many tours before, like I have to, it's kind of like starting over, you know what I mean? Because it's been years. It's been years. So I have to fucking prepare myself for sure.
Yeah. And you're absolutely correct too, as far as that's something another thing I don't think people realize. Like especially for my predicament, I was traveling with 10 guys, and this was my very
Yeah.
first. The first tour that I went on was the Spooktacular tour with Twisted. Like, I didn't ease in, I went straight into that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And we got 10 guys with us for 35 days.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna fucking butt heads. Our
Oh yeah.
guitarist Rich, I've only seen him get mad one time in the decade that I've known him,
Wow.
and that was during tour. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
just it's kind of like having roommates for an entire month. And like you said, there's certain challenges that you don't realize. Like, yes, for being a guy, you can just get some dude wipes and you're fine. But like, I have eczema. If I don't
Right.
shower on an everyday basis, I'm going to do.
It's
I'm
bad.
sitting here, I'm talking about it, and I started itching my leg. I, like, if I don't shower on a regular basis, I will break the fuck out and start
Yeah.
bleeding. Like, so you got to do everything you can to find whatever love station, any place you can have to have a shower. And then fast forward to a couple months later when I actually worked for Twisted. Yes, they're putting me in hotels every single night. But like you said, the suicide runs, my job was to run the equipment. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving after equipment's loaded up, and I'm driving all night, which means I got to get some sleep during the day. If you
Yeah.
don't get some sleep during the day, you're fucked, which
Oh
happened to me before.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, we were in Las Vegas, and they pump so much fucking oxygen into these hotel rooms, it's impossible to go to sleep, which is intentional. They do
Mm-hmm.
that shit on purpose to keep you up because they don't want you sleeping in those rooms in Vegas. They want you downstairs gambling. So they
Yeah.
pump pure oxygen into those rooms. It screwed me up so bad because I got zero sleep and I had to drive a thing. We were going from I think we were going from Vegas to the Sunshine Theater in Albuquerque. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where it was. But I can't remember. But I remember the drive was long as fuck and I got
Yeah.
no sleep. Too bad, motherfucker. You
Yeah.
got to be there.
Yeah.
Twisted needs they need their shit or else the show doesn't go on. Power the fuck through it. You know,
Oh
that's
yeah. There's definitely like some zombie moments too where you're like you lose track of days and you know what I mean? Like
yes.
you lose track of time and you're like holy fuck and then everybody starts almost looking the same and you know what I mean? Like people come up to you, "Oh, do you remember me from last one?" I'm like, "Yeah, not really." You know what I mean? Like it's a lot. Like I know from like outside looking in, it probably seems fun. And don't get me wrong, it's so fun. It can be really fun, but it's very, very, very stressful too. But you know, I guess that's just what we got to do.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things I always like asking any female artist or any female that is in a male dominated industry. I've had a couple MMA fighters that have been on here that are females.
Oh,
I've I've had I've had Molly Gruesome on here before. We had this discussion.
that's my
What are
girl.
she? I love her to death. She's
Yeah.
awesome. What are some of the challenges you face? And you alluded to this a little bit a couple minutes ago. What are some of the challenges that you face specifically being a female? And again, it's not like this. There's a lot more. I guess there's a lot more females in the game now as opposed to when you got started. But when you started coming, what are some of those specific challenges that you dealt with other than just she's a female, I'm not paying attention to her?
Yeah. Well, I think well, you know, like you said, like it was so like male dominated back then. Um, it was I felt like I had to like swing even harder. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
I felt like I had to be like more shocking, like lyrically, you know, music wise. I felt like I
right,
had to
right.
like come out fucking swinging to be like, yo, like look at me, like I can do this. I'm setting a different standard here. This isn't just some cutesy, you know, just some cutesy shit, you know. And it was a lot of like I felt like I really had to prove myself, you know, and I was a lot younger too, so I was a little bit more cutthroat. You know what I mean? So I felt like I really had a lot to prove. And then, you know, like even fast forwarding to now, it's still I don't want to say it's hard, but since I've been in it so longer now, like since I'm raising the bar, I have to keep going harder and I have to be better. I have to outdo what I've done before. I have to show the progression of shit. You just can't stay stagnant. Everything should be a level up, you know? But I mean,
Yep.
some of the shit that's hard too is like, since like being a female, then there's just like that stigma of like, well, she doesn't dress girly enough or she doesn't show enough skin or you know what I mean? Like, or she should do like more sex songs or like there's always like that stigma where it's like, it it's like more looks and, you know, is she too fat? Is she too skinny? She doesn't wear her makeup right. Her hair is terrible. Like the girls get a lot more, and that's just not in music. That's just in general. Like girls are
Oh
definitely
yeah.
under a
Hmm.
different kind of microscope. So like that kind of sucks. But luckily, like I'm conditioned now to where like anybody could say, you know what I mean? Like anybody could say like the worst of the worst. It doesn't matter because like I've been here. But it is crazy how you know, back in the day, like I said, female rappers were very like rare. There was only a few of us. And it was harder for us to fucking like shine and get that attention, as opposed to now you could find female rappers all the time. And then I think about it and I'm like, man, like it must be a lot easier for like female rappers now, because it's like, you know, because of the internet and because of like, you know, anybody could put their shit up on DistroKid and any kind of distribution. You know what I mean? Like you could do podcasts, you can do OnlyFans, you know what I mean? Like there's so many
Hmm.
things you can do to push yourself, where it wasn't really like that back then. So I'm like, shit, like it's actually easier for females. But at the same time, it's not easy because since there's so many, it's harder to stand out, you know? So luckily, like I feel like from the time that I came, I've kind of earned my stripes. So where I'm at now, either like people have heard my music or at least they've heard about me. You know what I mean? So like I kind of have like that, I guess like people like say like the OG, like legendary, like status type shit. So I'm lucky for that, but that took years, bro. Like that I had to start in 2006 in a fucking with the little computer mic in a in a fucking closet up until now. Like it took a lot to fucking, I mean, here I am like 19 albums later, and it's like this one feels like my first one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like I'm about to be like fucking 42 in this bitch, and I'm like I'm just getting started. I'm literally just getting started with this. So yeah, it's a journey. It's definitely been a journey.
Yeah. And there's some of the things that I was able to talk to Molly about, and some of the things that she said, and we had further conversations about the subject when we got off the show, because stuff like that really bothers me. I was raised by three women, so like,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, like I was a piece of shit when I was younger when it came to stuff like that, but I grew up a lot since then. And ever since
right.
then it's kind of I have a soft spot for some of the stuff that you guys have to deal with, cuz like she made a comment on the episode that I had with her where she goes, "I'm pretty sure guys have never had a producer say that they're not willing to work with you because you wouldn't sleep with them."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there like, "God damn, man, like
Yeah.
that how do you navigate that?" You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
I
yeah.
can't wrap my hand around that. That's
Oh
just
yeah.
crazy to me.
It's definitely happened. It's definitely happened to me too, where like producers and, you know, bigger people will be like, oh, you're dope, like, you know, like you're so talented, like I'd like to get you into the studio, like, you know, let's make it work, blah blah blah. And then they holler later, they're like, okay, well, like let's make plans for like you to come out here, blah blah. And then they'll be like, well, you know, like once we're in the studio and we're working together, like I am gonna try to fuck you. That literally happened to me. He told me that. He was like, I am going to try to fuck you. And I was like, okay, that's not happening. And then one tour that I went on, it was a JCW tour. I did a little like it was like a 2 week run or some shit. And I remember listening to like one of their podcasts after the tour, and I'm not going to mention names, but they pretty much said that I blew my chance because I brought my boyfriend on tour with me. And I'm like, really?
Ugh.
That's cool. That's really fucking cool. So yeah, there's that like fine line where like what did they really even care to begin with? You know what I mean? And then that fucked with me because I'm like, so you don't think I'm talented, you just want to fuck me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where like the mind games start coming in. And like to some other people, when they see these people telling you that, they would probably get all starry-eyed and like, oh my god, he wants to fuck me, blah, blah, blah. You know, like to me it was never like that, because at the end of the day, like we're all just fucking people here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not as big as it looks from an outside perspective. So like it fucked with me. You know what I mean? It fucked with me because I'm like, here I am, like thinking I'm doing the right thing and I'm doing so great. And, you know, like, oh, you're so talented, you're so dope. And then they bring in like, you know, the hitting on me, or my boyfriend shouldn't be tagging along. And I'm like, So were your intentions ever real? Was your opinion about me ever real? You know what I mean? Like, did you think I was dope, or you're just saying that because you're trying to, reel me in a little bit? And I don't, I don't play with that. And, it kind of sucks because had I have been that person, who knows what could have happened? You know what I mean? Good or bad. Like even with like, the like mainstream industry, a lot of people do shit like that. They sleep with each other, whatever, to get whatever they need to get. And it either works or it doesn't, but eventually it's not, you know what I mean? It's not, I could never do that. I could never do that. But yeah, there's definitely been some moments like that where it's like, well, that sucks. Kind of makes you doubt yourself a little bit, and then have to fucking rewire your shit to be like, I don't need nobody. I'm worth more than what's in my pants,
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a big reason we being the ones that have been on the quote unquote inside and have seen some of the more real side of this
Yeah.
underground scene. And don't get me wrong, I love the underground, always have. I'm not fond of the state that it's in right now as far as, some things go, but it is what it is.
Right.
But some of us that have seen the inner workings, we were the first ones to be jaded before social media blew
Mm-hmm.
up and people were able to give their opinions 24/7. And I always go back to this example, and I'm not going to say who, but there's somebody out there who's in one of the top spots in the underground who will only use a women's restroom on tour because it's the cleanest. And I'm like, every aura I ever thought about you is now dead because you rap about murder all the time, but you only use women's restrooms because it's the cleanest. I can't ever take you serious. That's always the example I give. But when you're talking about things that like you're bringing up, like that's so fucking common.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not going to bring up this guy's name. We were in Michigan, I think, and it was the time of the playoffs. Cleveland and Los Angeles, I think, it was Los Angeles Lakers were playing in the NBA playoffs. And we're watching it. Me and this other individual were watching it in the green room. And I think at the time the main act was on and I had to start getting equipment ready and shit like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I was walking out the door, but then something happened and I came back in and almost shut the door. And he goes, no, don't close that. He's like, just in case somebody's walking by and they want to blow me. And
Yeah.
I started laughing. I was laughing because no way he's fucking serious. And I closed the door and I started walking towards the couch. He goes, no, open up that door in case somebody walked by and they want to blow me. Homie was dead fucking serious. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you think somebody's just going to walk by? What are you
Yeah.
here for? What are
Yeah.
you doing this for? Are you
Priorities,
doing
bro.
this? Yeah, right. Like, I couldn't fucking believe, even to this day, like this was almost 10 years ago now at this point. And when I think about it, I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And to hear some of the
Mm-hmm.
challenges, not only from what you just said, not only from what Molly Gruesome has said, it's the same fucking thing. Two individuals I talked to in the MMA world, Chelsea Connor is her name, and Jade Shealy, they both are kind of like, they're UFC adjacent. Like they
Yeah.
work under the UFC umbrella. They haven't made it to the UFC yet, but both of them are like this close. And both of them have said the exact same thing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, every form of entertainment, even today, you think today everything is just so much better. We're not going to get into the political side of it, but when you think everything is so much better for females, and in some ways, it's a lot worse
Yeah.
because now they expect you to have the OnlyFans. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? They expect you to be okay with sexualizing yourself. And if that's your bag, I don't judge. That's fine. I'm not
Same.
saying that. But when you're expecting somebody to do that and putting
Mm-hmm.
what you just said, in the position you're in, that's fucking wrong. And it
Yeah.
needs to, I can't stand that shit. It bothers me if you can't tell. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
No,
Oh,
same. And it's kind of like it's kind of like jaded me a little bit to want to meet, like peek behind the
yeah.
veil. And you know what I mean? Because I'm like, well, whose intentions are really pure here? Like, who really like gives a shit? So it's something I've definitely, like, with time though, I've definitely learned to like kind of catch that shit from the jump though. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now I kind of know what to look out for, like what it is. I've kind of cemented myself in where I'm at. So like I kind of know what it is. But back then when I was like younger and a little bit more like fresh meat to all of
Yeah.
this. It was pretty like it was a little sad, you know what I mean? It was a little like it hurt my feelings more than anything. Where I was like, fuck man, you think you're doing so good and then people only want one thing, and it shouldn't be like that for anyone.
Sure. Well, as we wind down here, let's start talking about some of your favorite memories and not so much staleness. Let's end on a high note. During your, and you obviously had a really long career, like we said at the very beginning of this. What are some of your favorite memories? And you can list off as many as you want because I love hearing good stories from an entertainment standpoint. What are some of your favorite memories in your time of doing this that when you think over the time that you've done these are the things that pop out the most in your head? What are they?
Oh man. It kind of like blurs together, you know what I'm saying? Um
Sure.
I think like some of I think like one of my favorite moments was okay, so I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Tech Nine came into town and he specifically hollered at me to open. And that was like, bro, that's fucking cool. Like I didn't have to sell tickets. I didn't have to reach out to nobody. I didn't have those connects. You know what I mean? So like for Travis and them to, find me, I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like that kind of made me feel like I am on the right path, And then the same thing happened when like Head PE came. And I was like, yo, like this is cool. Like like much respect to everyone that like sells tickets and buys on and you got to do what you got to do, pay for your slots, whatever. It's all a hustle. I get it. But to like be approached, you know what I mean? Like it definitely it made me feel like a little bit more uh respected and sought out for the right reasons. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then a lot of my favorite memories too are like, I love this underground shit, but I really love when other genres make me part of their events, So like there's like this horror punk rock band called Calabrese, and they're kind of like some like misfits type shit, you know what I mean? Like they're like hillbilly like rockabilly looking dudes and like they're fucking sick. Like I was on a zombie prom with them, and when I was performing, my little rap songs over there, these guys were like in the crowd watching me and like digging it. And they're not rap fans, but it was just that horror bond that like it drew them in. And then we became friends, and then like even out here, like some industrial shows and metal shows, they'll be like, yo, like, do you want to come out? And I'm like, yeah, like I love the underground shit, but I love the challenge of like going into these territories where they have no idea who I am. They don't know what to expect up there. And then by the end of the night, they become fans, So those are definitely some favorite moments for me is like, I guess going into uncharted territories and then, like the bigger names kind of like giving you your flowers a little bit, And I think also, like coming up, I always had somebody like recording my music for me and doing all of that for me. When I started being a little bit more independent, and learning things on my own, it's so dope to like have my own studio, not to have to go into someone else's studio. You know what I mean? Like I kind of run my own
Hmm.
shit here. I have my own like little circle. And then I'd say like right now, like my biggest like accomplishment would definitely be like the team, like Shrunken Head Entertainment. Like it means everything to me, like bringing all of these artists together. Like I have such an awesome team and we're all on the same level. So a lot of this shit, it's like the crabs in a bucket mentality where everybody's just using each other. They want to get bigger, they use whoever they got to use. I'm very confident with like the people that I have. Like we're all just on this level where like we all just want us to be dope and continue. So like I just feel lucky that I could, for the longest time, everybody told me like, don't start your own label. Don't do it. Like it should just focus on you, focus on you. But I've just never been that person. I work better with people. You know what I mean? I work better with like-minded individuals and shit. So I think out of everything right now, that's definitely like what I'm the most like, I guess, happiest and like gonna be like one of my favorite memories years and years from now is knowing that like this team came together and the idea, hopefully by then the idea will be a huge monster.
Yeah. People, I don't think, going back to your first memory, people, I don't think understand, because he's kind of personal and he keeps things close to the vest, how fucking cool Tech really is.
Yeah.
And he when we were in Pittsburgh, same tour I've been referencing when I worked for Twisted, we were in Pittsburgh on a day off and he invited the whole tour to the show. So our tour passes got us into the show, watch the show, whatever. And me and some of the crew guys go out. We were near, I think we were right next to Heinz Field. Yeah, we were, because we saw it from the venue. And so we just say, hey, let's go get a couple drinks. And we're at this bar, and next thing you know, we get a phone call from Draven, who was Twisted's drummer at the time, being like, hey, we're all over here. Why don't y'all come over? I'm like, all right, cool. Thinking, it's just, the M&E guys. No, it was all Strange Music sitting at this table, as well as
No.
the M&E guys. And he's got this on his Instagram, but I ripped it immediately when he did it because I wanted proof that I was at this table. So at one point, Tech takes a video of all of us at the table, and you could see me at the table with all these guys. Twist is there, Chris Kalika, all of them
Mhm.
were fucking there. And it's like, I knew my part, which was to sit there, shut up, and let these guys talk. Like I'm self-aware when it comes to a lot of this shit, because a lot of people want a hound dog. I don't. I sit at the
Right.
table. If I'm spoken to, I know my place. I'm a crew member. I'm there as a guest, technically, of theirs.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna shut up. And the point of me bringing this up is that I was pretty much quiet unless somebody spoke to me, and then Tech bought everybody the last rounds of the table, and he kind of reached over the table directly straight up to me and tipped his beer and gave me a cheers before anyone else, and
Cool.
gave me kind of like a head nod, almost in like recognition of like, thank you for knowing your place in this predicament.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like little shit like that. That was my first real initiation into him. We've been like, oh, this dude, as long as you're cool to him and he respects you,
Mhm.
he's gonna make sure he respects you. So that's
Yeah.
really fucking cool that he did that for you as well. I like hearing stories about that. Um, but anyway, so I definitely want to end this by saying that, like I said at the beginning, I respect the fuck out of your hustle. I've
Thank
paid
you.
attention to you. I've paid attention to you all these years, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, because I feel more than ever right now that the people that have worked the hardest deserve whatever spotlight can be shined on them. And you've been working harder than anyone for a long, long time on your
Peace.
own. You're always producing shit. You're always putting out more content. You're always doing more to advance your brand. And I respect the fuck out of that. So
Thank
I
you.
always
Thank
give, hey, my pleasure. Thank you for all the work that you've done. But I always give the last couple of minutes to my guests if there's anything specific they want to plug, upcoming shows, obviously where people can find your brand new album and where they can find you on social media. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yes. So I have my annual music festival that is coming up October 3rd to the 5th here in San Antonio, Texas. We got people coming from everywhere. My album drops September 20th. I have a new music video out right now called Surprise Sacrifice, and the new album is also called Surprise Sacrifice. I'm dropping a new music video tonight, also. Tonight being what's today, Friday, September 19th. Um, and yeah, I got my tour coming up in November. We got like 14 dates on that motherfucker with like 3 days off. So that's gonna be something for sure. And yeah, I want to end the year on like a really fucking, high note, and let that trickle into the beginning of the new year, and let's see what the fuck happens from there. But yeah, you could just Google me. You can Google Razakel. I'm all over this motherfucker, dude. I'm all over this motherfucker. /Razakel music on Patreon, Instagram, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fucking dope.
Hey, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Seriously, thank you so
You.
much.